This conference will now be recorded.
Good. So I think yesterday we have set up Windows Node initially, and so did anyone try that running Windows Node as a service? Any, anyone? Sorry.
No large configuration purpose.
What was the issue? Reason? What was the reason? There must be some reason, right? Error message, something. So whenever you get an issue, please take a screenshot, take a picture of it. Okay, I can give you a solution. Right? So, but there won't be an issue. So where is your where is your Jenkins master is running on EC2 or local? EC2. Okay, that was the issue. So if you have your Jenkins running on EC2, okay, so you won't be able to launch your Windows as a node. That's not possible. Okay. So if you want to have your Windows node connected, and make sure even your Jenkins master, also your Windows node, both should be running on cloud. Otherwise, you won't be able to connect it. Or else, just like me, your master, Jenkins, both should be running on local. So for Windows, it's not possible. If one instance running on local, other master is running on remote, so that's not possible. Okay, but if you want to connect both in Windows and then your EC2, that means your master, both should be running on either cloud or local. Okay, remember that. So yeah, see, some of you have been practicing on Jenkins. You have installed on Jenkins on EC2 instances. Okay, that is good. But remember, so if you start using your AWS accounts, then look at your bills. Okay, when you go to your billing section, then it is going to show you the amount you have spent. And so at some point of time, if you have any amount due, then your account will be blocked. Then you may lose your practice. That means all the instances, you may lose it, but that will be unblocked if you pay the amount again back. Okay. So if you don't want that practice, then that means anytime they may block your account without any notification. They send you some notifications, but if you don't neglect them, they block your accounts. Then you might lose your practice. Again, you need to set up everything from scratch. Create another AWS account and set up the whole setup again. So if you don't want those kind of headaches, so the best way is you can do it on your virtual instances. Okay. So we have created some jobs yesterday. So we have created some simple jobs to run some shell commands, also some Windows batch commands, and then so some Java compile command. But when I was running this command, this job, so it was throwing us an error saying that, so back to the job. Too many things now. Just a second, one second. I've done some temporary fixes, but these fixes are just a second. Just a minute. Just fix this one up. So this was the job, and so it's just a second. Yeah, probably. That's fine. The value. Yeah. So what was the error? Yesterday's error. Look into back again. So output. So Java not on, right? So Java command on. So that is because of Jenkins is not able to find out Java. Is not able to find out Java. So since Jenkins is not able to find out Java, let's ask Jenkins to install JDK. Jenkins will be taking care of installing JDK. But whenever Jenkins wants to install JDK, it has to select some versions. So we select some versions. Whenever the version is selected, Jenkins will be installing that particular version on your Jenkins master side. But what version? How do you select those versions? Now, if you want to select those versions, so here we must have mentioned some JDK versions over here in the environments. But so if you want to have those JDK versions displayed, firstly make sure you go to global tool configurations, manage Jenkins, and then global tool configurations. And then add JDK. So here we add JDK versions. Whenever you add these versions, and these versions will be appearing in the job when you select the environments. Okay, well, so I would go with first adding these versions. Once the versions are added, then you can go to the job, then select the required version. Then what versions? Now you go with select these are the list of JDK versions. Okay, so which version? Select your version according to your requirement. So I selected that version, and then agree terms and conditions, but give a name over here. So give some name. Let's say this name is for our purpose. That's for our purpose. And then same way you can add multiple versions. So add JDK, and then agree terms and conditions, and then version. So JDK. But we can keep add more number of versions. Which version? Let's say 9 version. Okay, so agree conditions. Now just save it. Okay, but and then switch back to the job, refresh. And then build environments. You select that JDK. Now you select that with and then you select the JDK versions. There you have JDK versions. Select the versions. Okay, and then save it. And so now you start building it. So that's build number 1. Don't worry, that's build number 2. Now it is going to download JDK now. And what version we are selecting? 8.144. That version of JDK will be downloaded, and also will be installing 8.144. So whatever the versions are loaded in Manage Jenkins in global tool configurations, all the versions are loaded from the Oracle website. So that's why you see that there are certain conditions, so which are, so you need to accept it. Those are list of Oracle JDK versions. So that is listing those versions from the Oracle website. So these are all the JDK versions. These are the versions. So that's why you need to agree the terms and conditions for Oracle. Okay. And it's building the job. It's building on what is the node? Building on Linux node. So and also it will be down in JDK. So everything will be on workspace, which is a default workspace. Let's open the workspace. So see that installing JDK. Okay. So it is installing JDK. Which version? The selected version. So it has downloaded. Plus also installing the required version. So version needs to be selected by us. Then JDK, when your Jenkins master automatically downloading it. Okay. But this time the error is different. The error is, what is that? Hello file not found. So the file must be exist. So where the file must be existing? That's in the workspace, right? So usually, you see, yesterday we have seen some examples. So whenever you create some files and also creating some data related to the job, all the data is existing in the workspace. The same thing here. Now I'm compiling a file. So the file, whatever you are compiling, the file must be existing in the workspace. But we have file in the workspace. There is no file. So any data related to the job must be existing within the workspace. If the data is not existing, then it is going to throw us an error, file not found. Well, so since the file is not available in the workspace, I'm going to copy that file into the workspace manually. So where is my workspace is? So that's on Linux node. That's in the workspace, right? Now, so go to the node. This is a node. And we are already in the Jenkins remove root directory. And then in workspace, there is your job. So this is the path where we are supposed to have the hello.java file, which we're going to compile it. Okay. So let's copy that. I already have that file on my node. So that's in my, so you can copy these files. So I think I have already shared these, all the files, hello files, and even some project files in Maven itself. You can use those files. So I have a sample file, which is hello.java file. This file, I'm going to copy that to workspace so that the file will be existing in the workspace. I'm doing it manually. So how do we make it automated? We'll talk about that, but let's go with this first. So that is a workspace. Okay. And then copy that again. And the file name was, sorry, dot. So the file has been copied. So simply I have copied that required file into the workspace, nothing else. Well, then again build it. Console output. So now it is successfully compiled. So what is the class file name? So that's my class file name. But where is the class file is created? Workspace. Everything has to be in the workspace. That's my class file. Okay. Well, so we have been successfully compiling these projects. Okay. Let me show you this as well for Python. So I think we haven't seen that, but you can, let me show you this. So where do you see that under build steps? Just go with. So what is that? Execute Python scripts. We can take some Python scripts. 1 second. So very simple scripts. Let's say Python. So some sample scripts. Take a script. I just want to show you how to run these scripts, nothing else. Okay, probably I will take that script. Okay. The script is regarding. So I have two strings. String one is Linux, and then string two is int. I'm just joining these two strings, nothing less. How do you join it? Using join string and then join string one plus string two, and then I'm printing that new string. So very simple. Then save it. Start building it. But if you want to run these Python scripts, make sure you have Python plugin installed. Did we install Python plugin yesterday? Did we install the plugin? Yeah. So that is your Linux hint. Okay. So this is a simple Python script. So we're not too much worried about it. But now back to the job. So in this job, so we have compiled only one single file. I have only hello.java file. So I have compiled it. But what if you have a number of Java files? I have kind of a project. So how do you compile it? So can we do it through the commands? Java commands? That's not possible. So how do you do that? How do you build your projects? We have build tools. Yes. So using those build tools, we compile the projects. Okay. Let me first show you how do you compile that project using and then we'll move on to the Maven. So we know Maven, right? We know Maven. We know exactly how Maven works. But here I'm going to show you first Ant example, then we'll move on to Maven example. Okay. So let's create a project. Let's say like Ant job something. And I'm going to take a freestyle project. Yeah. So I go to build tools and then I select invoke Ant. Now invoke Ant is option available since we have installed Ant plugin already. So did we install Ant plugin? How did we install that? Offline or online? Offline. So we have installed the plugin already. So in offline mode. So that is the reason I can see that Ant here. So nothing else, just very simple, just invoke it. You do nothing else. So next. Yeah, and go with general and restrict where this project can be run. I want to run it on some node, Linux node. Okay, well, save it. That's it. Only two simple steps. I've invoked and then selected my node. So let's run the project. Can I run it? Will it be success or something else? Compare with previous example. So what kind of errors we had in the previous example? JDK not found. Okay, so that's one thing. And secondly, file not found, right? So well, look at the console output. So what is that? Unable to find a script. What is the script is? Build.xml. What is the? So in Maven we have the same file. What is that file name in Maven? Form.xml. Here in and it is build.xml. So that file is not existing in where? Workspace. So any file related to the job has to be existing in the workspace. So does it exist in the workspace? No. So the build.xml file, including the project files, which I'm going to compile, must be existing within the workspace. Now again, I'm going to copy that project, including my build file, manually into the workspace. So when you go to Maven, I'll show you how to do these things automated. So, but as of now, copy the project file. So also the build.xml file into the workspace manually. Okay. In Maven, so we maintain the source files in some directory, right? What is the directory name? Where are the source files are maintained in Maven? SRC. Okay. And then, so we have also another subdirectory. What is the subdirectory? SRC, and then, sorry, not subdirectory, I'm sorry, another directory, target. So then we have form.xml. And if you compare with AND, in AND also we have SRC, and target is called build, and then was it build? You can name it anything. Anyway, let's go with build. And then the form.xml, we call it build.xml. So this is a directory structure. Right. So now again copy that project into my node. So these hand scripts I'm just showing only for the idea purpose. Whether you want to do hands-on with this or not, that's your choice. So, but I'm going to show you that example, and those scripts I will be sharing again through the Google Drive. Those who are interested to do some hands-on with hand scripts, you can do it. Copy, download those files through the Google Drive, download them, and then follow the same process. Okay. Right. Now, I copy that. So media directory, have it in root into my workspace. Now, what's the directory name is SRC. But where do you copy that? Into workspace, right? What is the job name? And job. So copy that in media SRC, when we copy that recursively and into here. So I have SRC. What else is required? Build.xml. Yes. So copy that build.xml. Also, that's in my media. So which is build.xml into current working directory. So we have both. So if you want to see that build.xml, how it looks like, that's a build.xml file. Now you see, again the same goals. So just like in Maven, we have some targets, right? What are the targets we have in Maven? Clean, compile, package. But here, these targets are written in scripts. So Maven, do we write scripts? Do you write scripts for these commands? No. So we simply go to the build command line and run them. But here you write the scripts as well. That's a difference. Okay. But so some script is written over here. Whatever, we don't worry. So going back to now, it's a very simple thing. Nothing else. Nothing to worry about anything here. So I'm going to share that Ant drive in Google. So go to the Ant drive. So let me show you the folder as well. You can do some hands-on with this. Okay. So in Ant drive, I will be sharing all these folders. So go to exercise 4, and these are the two files, SRC and the build.xml. These are the two files. You copy that into the workspace. That's it, nothing else. Okay. So once you copy that into workspace, you can see the workspace. Are we clear? Understand what I'm doing? Good. Now going back to, let's run the project. Let's see. Build it. Console output. So again, the build was failure, right? So why it was failure? So the reason was, is it the same reason we had previously? So what did we do then? Java command not form. What did we do? Configure, select the environments, right? So go with build environment, and then, so what is that? With and which version? Select. But where is that JDK is downloaded actually? Where is the JDK is downloaded to? On node. Yes, of course, on node. What is that? So within your Java home directory, Jenkins remote root directory, so there is a directory created which is tools. So open cd tools, and there is your JDK. So that is downloaded by Jenkins. Now every time whenever Jenkins requires, it is going to load that JDK from this directory. Okay. Right. Now select that JDK. Did we select that? Configure. Build environments, and there is your JDK version. Now if I select this version now, is Jenkins is going to download the JDK 8.144 version again? No. So downloading is not required every time since it has already downloaded that. Okay. But if you, apart from this version, if you select some other version, that would be downloaded. So there we have other versions. Then these versions will be downloaded. Okay. But select the existing version. I don't want to download the other versions. So what is the advantage of this? Why we set up these JDK versions? What's the advantage? Version? Yes. So whenever you have this kind of version conflicts, you can simply select the JDK version, and then you can find out on what versions of JDK I'm able to build my project successfully. So you don't need to go to the node, install them manually. That's not required at all. Initially, like we remember, initially we have installed JDK on the nodes. But what if you have, like, so in the future on that particular node, you have to change the JDK versions. Are you going to install them again? That's not even possible, right? So that's why this kind of option is provided, global tool configurations. So this option was not there earlier in the past, like about 4 to 5 years ago. That was not there. So after that, so they have introduced these kind of global tool configurations. Not only for JDK, we can set up the versions for all the tools, like Ant, Maven. We can set up for different tools. We'll be doing it, but that is advantage. You don't need to install the tools again manually. You can do it. You can select the global tool configurations. Tools will be installed. Okay. So try to build it. Console output. So clean compile package. Run is just optional, just only for running purpose. But we know these three goals, right? Yes. My project has been clean, compile, package. This looks very much similar to Maven, right? We know the goals. So whenever it was compiled, and all the files are saved into a folder. What is that folder? This is like target folder in Maven. Now, so back to the workspace. There is your build. Classes, also package. So that's a package, and then you have classes. Here's some classes. Okay. Right. So I want to build this project with various versions of Ant. So which version I have built my project with? Some default version I have installed on my node, but I want to build with different versions of Ant. How do you do that? Global tool configurations. Okay. So I think we're already there. So what is that? Manage Jenkins, and then global tool configurations. And then, so like we have set up for JDK, set up for, sorry, where is that? Ant. Yeah. So what versions? You select some versions. Okay. So go with, let's say, some Ant version. Okay. and 9.9. We give some name to this, and also you want to set up more versions, so set up for these versions. Okay, set up the versions, and then you can. So this is like only setting up the tools, setting up the versions over here, and then also make sure you go with in global tool configuration, select that option for install automatically. So like we have done for JDK, right? Select that option, install automatically. Then, so those versions will be installed. If you don't select it, that won't be installed. Okay. And then just back to that. So once you set it up and config, and build environments, select with and already there, where the versions will be appearing in JD in and. So select the versions. Okay. So this is how you just select your environments. On what type of environments you want to build your projects. That means ANT versions and JDK versions. Select the environments. Then we can try that. So I have shown you how to set up these versions, but on your side, you just select the versions, then you try to build it and change the versions. So just try that first. So the first thing is, so for Java compile job, so and build with so different versions of JDK. And then secondly, for ANT project, so build with so versions, various versions of JDK, also for ANT. So this is in practice how to set up the global tool configurations. Okay, and then try with these two jobs. Okay, next. So now we'll try with Maven project. So we take the same project we have created in our sessions. So this is our project. Okay, and that project, just remove the target. So push this src and then form file to GitHub repository. So push that code, these two files, src directory, also form.xml, push that onto the repository. Which repository? GitHub repository. Okay, push it first. So I think you know how to push it. So I already have pushed it. This is my repository. I have src, also I have form file and open src. So this is my two directories. So one is for main, other one is for test. And then so we also have the form file. That's a form file. Now I want to build this project. Where is my project is? GitHub repository. I want to build it. How are you going to build it? So firstly, you want to build it. Since you want to build it, you need some tool first. What is that tool? Maven. Okay. But how are you going to build it? Are you going to use it? Are you going to pull the code? Sorry, yeah, pull the code and then you build it using Maven? No. So I want to create an automated job. Whenever I build my job in Jenkins, and that job is going to pull the code from GitHub repository and then build it using Maven. Are we clear? So how we create this continuous integration job? And here the continuous integration I am doing with so GitHub repository Maven build. Okay. So let me create a new item. But when I create a new item, so let's give some name, Maven. So GitHub Maven. But I'm not going to select a freestyle project. Instead, I would select an Maven project type. So what is the Maven project type? So when you select the Maven project type, this project type so will be automatically selecting your Maven as a build tool. You don't need to select the build tool. But if you want these options to be appeared in your particular project type, then you need to install a plugin first. So what's a plugin? Maven plugin. So how to install these plugins? Manage Jenkins, and then so manage plugins, and then so go with that plugin available, and then search for Maven plugin. Okay. So that plugin I already have installed it. Anyway, click on install. So these plugins takes a lot of time to install. Maven GitHub plugin that take at least 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So the plugin name is Maven integration plugin. So I think you know how to install the plugins. Simply select the plugin, install it. So it will take some time, but don't worry. So let it be taking its own time. So nothing to worry. Okay. So after you install that plugin, and then you come to Maven project type and select the project type over here. So that's a Maven project type. And then you have build steps. Now in the build steps, so what is the tool is already selected? Maven. But I want to select the Maven versions. How do you select the versions? Global tool configurations, set up the versions, manage Jenkins, and then so global tool configurations. So go with Maven installations and then select the versions. Very simple. Just select the version, install automatically, and then select the version and then give a name. So it's like same things like JDK and Maven. Only selecting the versions, right? And then save it. And you can select your Maven versions. Okay. Then, so what else is required? So we selected only build tool, but where is your source code? GitHub. So how do you select that GitHub? Source code management, and then you select. One second. Select the repository as Git repository. So select your repository, Git repository. But again, the same thing. So this Git repository, if you want to select it, install a plugin again. So what is a plugin? So Git plugin, GitHub integration plugin, manage plugins, and then so install plugin. I had installed already. Now the plugin name was so GitHub integration plugin. That's a plugin name. So make sure you install these plugins. Once again, let me so put it on screen. And for GitHub, that's a plugin name. And for Maven, that's a plugin. Especially GitHub integration plugin also takes a lot of time, at least 10 to 15 minutes. So these are the two plugins take a lot of time so to get it installed. Okay. So install those plugins, and once they are installed, and then you just back to Jenkins and you select your repository. Okay, are we clear? So what is showing? It's Git or GitHub. So it does not make any difference. Git or GitHub repository. The only difference is the URL. If your repository is local, you mention that IP address, then your so repository path. But here we have GitHub repository. I can select that repository path. That's my repository. There is my repository. And what else? We need credentials. Okay, add credentials. Yes, and the GitHub repository credentials. Okay, so the username and then user password, and then give some description. Let's say GitHub, so credentials. Let's say add it, and then select the credentials. GitHub credentials. Okay. Well, so what is that error? That error is regarding some certification error, but that won't create any issues for us. That's okay. That's not a problem. And going with now, select some restrict where this project can be run. So where do I want to run it? So let's take Windows node this time. So far we have been running on Linux nodes, but this time I want to run it on Windows node. But is my node is online? Let's see. So Windows node, that's offline. I want to connect that node. I'm going to connect it using the command. So downloads and then run it. Well, it's connected. Refresh. Okay. Now back to the job. This is the job. Now let's build it. So it was a failure. So why it was a failure? Let's find out. So what was the issue? Cloning the repository. It's cloning the repository, error cloning origin. So why it was error? Well, let me just check this out. Now, back to dashboard. I want to see that in global tool configurations, manage Jenkins. I'll show you global tool configurations. So here we have Git, right? So there we have Git. Okay, 1 second. So this here we have Git. So this is again like Git installations, like ant installations, JDK installations. Same thing we have Git installations. I would just go with add Git. Then, so what do? You just give some name, some random name. Let's say Git. Then, so path to Git executable. So I have installed already on my Windows Git. I have already installed it. Now, wherever Git is installed, get that Git executable path. So how do you get that path? Go to Git bash and run this. Where is Git? So where Git, I guess. So where Git, and that is where Git is installed. This is a path we just need to mention. That's a path. Copy the path and mention in the executable path. Okay. So, but what if So I already have installed it, but if you want to install it, go with install automatically. Try that, and then you can add the type of installations. But I already have installed it. I'm not going to install that again. I have simply mentioned the path where Git is installed. Okay. So I have mentioned the Windows path, right? But what if my node is on Linux? Yes. So now I would go with, so add Git again, and then so give some name, let's say Git Linux, and then path to Git executable, where Git is installed on your node. Back to the node and try this. So where is Git? So my Git is installed under user bin Git / user and then bin Git. So that is how you install your Git. Only simply just select the paths. So wherever, so that depends upon what kind of node you are running. Okay, whether you're running on Windows node or you're running on Linux node, select the path. So that is the path. But here, when I select the Windows path, there was some error, right? That's okay. That's not a problem. So why this showing that error is? Now, when you look at this, it's asking us to select the paths in Linux format, /bin /git in Linux format. But since my node is running on Windows, this is how you mention the path. The same error I haven't got when I mentioned that in Linux format. But that's negligible. That's not a problem. It shows that, so because since my master is installed on Linux and the way it understands the path is only in Linux format. So I did not have this kind of error when I selected that Git path in Linux format. So that is negligible. That's not a problem. Understand? So whenever you want to run some Git commands or you want to clone some Git repositories, so firstly you do select your repository in the job. How do you do that? Go to the job and then you configure it. Select your repository. How do you select the repository? Source code management repository. Select your repository. But if you want to have that option available in the repositories, you install plugin. What is the plugin name is? Git integration plugin. Then you have that option available. And moreover, so if you have any errors, something like, so repository cannot be cloned, and so what do? You just go to global tool configurations, you set the Git executable paths. Once you set the Git executable paths, the Git will be loaded from so and so path. Okay, is it clear? Understand? Sorry? EC2. Whatever. EC2, then what? So, yeah, if it's EC2, then what? Does not make any difference, right? You just mention the path. So is it, do you see the IP address? Do you see EC2 node? What do you see? You just see the path where it is installed. That's what you mention. You don't mention the IP address, right? So wherever it is, you just install, get the installation path. Nothing else you do. Does not make any difference whether it's running on your local instance or it's running on EC2 instance. Does not make any difference. Only the path is different, and only the path. Okay. But so, well, now you can just save it now. Let's again build it. Just build it. Console output. So this time it's cloning the repository first. Yeah, and look at the path. It is loaded from since it is Windows node, the path has been loaded from Windows path. So if I was running this on Linux node, and the path will be loaded from Linux path we have set up. Okay. So first, the resource code, and what is the file? Default file name is common XML file, right? Yeah. So and then compile, test resource, test, and then package after install. Now, why that is install goal? So what is the goal has been run? Install, right? Why install goal? Why not some other goal? Anyway, so this is your test results. You can also see the results over here. See the results. Okay. Now, why that has been run test install goal? Why not some other goals? Can we control the goals? I want to run only compile code or package code. So where do you do that from? So in configure, when you go to the build tools, in the build steps, so here you mention the goals. So the goals are regarding, so for example, I like to go with only clean compile. So it will be clean and compile. But if you don't mention any goals, if you leave it blank, so that's the default goal. The last goal, what is the last goal is install goal. It has done install goal. Okay, but go with that clean compile. Now, so build it. Check the console output. So initially it was cloning the project. So that is, it was cloning the project from GitHub repository. You can see that. And then, so it will be building our clean and compile. Now, so where the project has been cloned, where the project has been cloned into, what is that path? Is it into workspace or not? Everything has to be in workspace. That's what I have been saying. So it is in workspace. Then you can see the workspace and project related files. Right? So where is your source? That's my source. And then we have target. So there we have target. We have compiled files. That's our compiled files. And then, so in target, we also have pom.xml file. That's a pom.xml file. Okay. Well, so for today, you just try that. That's your third job for today. So the third scenario. So we'll be doing some more hands-on with the same job tomorrow. Okay. So that is not done yet. So we'll be doing some more hands-on with that same job. Okay. Now, so try with continuous integration, which is GitHub repository. And then Maven build tool. But before that, make sure you install all these plugins. If you don't have these plugins installed, you cannot run those plugins. I mean, you cannot run those jobs. Okay. And then, if possible, change goals. try to change the goals. And so make sure you set up the Git global tool configurations. You set up the global tool configurations for Git, also set up for and then JDK. So once you set up these ones, then you can create these jobs. But before that, the first thing is install the plugins. So you might have already installed Ant plugin. Today install two plugins. One is GitHub plugin, other one is Maven plugin. And after that, you try with these jobs. Okay. In the meanwhile, you set up this global tool configurations. Then only you will be able to run all these three jobs perfectly. Otherwise, you keep getting errors. So Git not found, JDK not found, compilation errors. You get all these errors. Okay. So whether if you have EC2 nodes, that is easy to run all these things. Okay, it's very easy to run all of them on EC2. That makes your job easier actually. Okay, right. Yeah. Any questions? So whether see this is like we have this, the last one is very important one. So please do some good hands-on. So this ant job, whether you try this or not, that is your optional, that's your choice. But the first two, the first one and the third one are important. Anyway, I will be sharing these ant scripts. You can do some hands-on either today or any time, whenever you find some free time. Just do some hands-on. But these two are important, first and third. Okay. Thank you.